Good afternoon, everyone. This is a lecture on peptic ulcer. So, what is peptic ulcer? It consists of two words, peptic and ulcer. Ulcer means breach in continuity of any mucosa. Like we have oral ulcers. Similar type of ulcer, if occur in stomach or duodenum, we call it peptic ulcer. So basically, it is a disruption in the mucosa of stomach or duodenum. It manifests by abdominal pain, dyspepsia, vomiting, and in a more severe case, a complication like GI bleeding or a very life-threatening condition like GI perforation can also occur. But that type of problem is nowadays very rare. Very rare. Mostly patient comes with mild symptom of gastritis. Now, to understand the pathophysiology of the peptic ulcer, we need to understand what happens in the stomach. As you know, stomach secretes the acid and pepsin, and there should be something to protect the mucosa from the damaging effect of this acid and pepsin. So, along with the acid and pepsin, mucus is also secreted, and inside this mucus there is bicarbonate. This bicarbonate uh, neutralizes the acid which can damage the mucosa. So, first important damaging factor acid and pepsin. Apart from that, pathologically there could be infection from the bacteria called H. pylori, and NSAID can also produce a damaging effect. We will see how NSAID produces the damaging effect. For the protection, there is a mucus, there is bicarbonate, and there is prostaglandin, particularly PGE2. So, which are the transmitter which increases the acid secretion from the stomach, or what are the signal for the secretion of the acid inside the stomach? The most important signal is histamine. Histamine H2 receptor are found in the gastric mucosa, and stimulation of this H2 receptor lead to acid secretion from the parietal cell. Apart from that, there is a hormone called gastrin, and acetylcholine indirectly stimulates the histamine, and then ultimately this lead to increase in acid secretion. So by blocking any of these, we can decrease the acid secretion. Factors which decrease the acid secretion, somatostatin and prostaglandin E2, they decrease the gastric secretion. So again, coming to the damaging factor, acid, pepsin, H. pylori, NSAID, and protective factor, mucus, HCO3, and prostaglandin. Let's see few of them, that how they affect. H. pylori. H. pylori is basically a gram-negative bacteria. It produces urease and also has cytotoxic effect. So overall, what it does, that it produces inflammation and epithelial damage. Apart from that, it increases the gastrin, which is acid promoting enzyme, and decreases the somatostatin, which is protective enzyme. So overall effect is, when there is H. pylori infection, there are increased incidence of severe gastric ulcer. So if patient is found with the infection of H. pylori, then we have to give anti-H. pylori treatment. Because it is bacteria, we have to give some antibiotic. Overall result, it increases the acid secretion. NSAID. Now, prostaglandin E2 has a very protective effect on the gastric mucosa. It increases the mucus, it increases the bicarbonate, and it decreases the acid. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug blocks the cyclooxygenase enzyme. So overall, it decreases the production of prostaglandin E2, and this decrease in production of prostaglandin E2 lead to overall increase in acid secretion, decrease in mucus secretion, and decrease in HCO3 secretion. So overall effect is increased damage to the mucosa. Apart from that, all the NSAID, most of the NSAID are given in the acidic form like diclofenac sodium, salicylic acid, para-amino salicylic acid. So they are all acid. When they go inside the stomach, they get converted into the stronger or weaker form of acid. So they further decrease the pH and overall increases the acidity. And plus they inhibit the prostaglandin. So they ultimately lead to mucosal damage. And they can directly produce epithelial injury as well. Now let's revise. What is peptic ulcer? We have seen that it is a breach in continuity of mucosa, and there are damaging factor, protective factor, and role of H. pylori and NSAID. Let's see which are the drug useful in the treatment of peptic ulcer. As I told you, if there is H. pylori infection, we have to use specific antibiotic which can act on H. pylori. Such type antibiotic are clarithromycin, amoxicillin, tetracycline, and metronidazole. Then a drug, most commonly used drug nowadays is proton pump inhibitor, omeprazole, lansoprazole, and other prazole group of the drug. Then H2 antagonist drug like ranitidine, famotidine, like tidine drugs. Then prostaglandin E1 analog can also be given like misoprostol. And there are ulcer protective drugs called sucralfate and colloidal bismuth subcitrate. And then there are commonly used over-the-counter drugs like antacids. And then there is one rare drug, M1 anticholinergic drug pyrangipan, which is no longer available in India. First drug, H2 receptor antagonist. Nowadays this drug has become a second choice drug. No more it is a first choice drug, but it was one of the first group of drug which was identified to decrease the acid secretion. They basically bind to H2 receptor, block the H2 receptor, and decreases the production of acid inside the stomach. So they directly decrease the acid secretion by blocking H2 receptor. Their name ends with the tidine, cimetidine, ranitidine, famotidine, roxetidine, lopatidine, and many more. Cimetidine was the first drug to identify, but there were certain problems with the cimetidine. So cimetidine was discontinued. The uses of this drug, they are useful in both gastric as well as duodenal ulcer. Apart from that, they can be given in the gastroesophageal reflux disease. It can be given in Zolliger-Ellison syndrome as well. As I told you, there were certain side effects of cimetidine. Common side effects of all drugs are headache, dizziness, rashes. Can occur with any drug, so it can also occur with this H2 blocker. But cimetidine, which was first used, are rarely used nowadays because it has specific anti-androgenic effect. So it produces gynecomastia and loss of libido. This has sometimes been asked in the MCQ, that which drug can produce gynecomastia. So cimetidine is one of those drugs which can produce gynecomastia. It is also an enzyme inhibitor, so increases the concentration of certain drug, and drug-drug interaction can occur. Ranitidine and famotidine and later found drug has no such type of effect and can be given very safely. Proton pump inhibitor or prazoles. Nowadays these are the first line drug in the treatment of peptic ulcer. They are first choice drug of any kind of peptic ulcer, whether it is a common peptic ulcer or due to drug induced peptic ulcer or any type of peptic ulcer. Proton pump inhibitor are drug of choice. Most of them are prodrug and get activated inside the body. They go inside the stomach, they get absorbed, they come into blood, and then they come back inside the secreted inside the parietal cell, and they act. That is how they act. their name ends with the prazoles, omeprazole, pantoprazole, lansoprazole, trabeprazole, etc. And they are effective orally, but they can get damaged by acid itself. So they are given as a enteric-coated tablet. They get absorbed from the duodenum or small intestine, and then they later on it is activated inside the blood and secreted inside the parietal cell of the stomach. So this is a parietal cell and canaliculi of the stomach from which acid is secreted. So important step in the secretion of this drug acid is Cl plus H plus ATPase pump, which take the potassium inside, throws the H plus, that is hydrogen ion outside, which then combine with the water and form the HCl, and this HCl secreted as a acid. So this is the important step or last most step in the acid secretion. What omeprazole does, it gets activated inside the blood and then bind irreversibly to this pump. Because it is secreting H plus, which is a proton, so it is also called proton pump. And this drug binds with the proton pump and blocks it, so it is called proton pump inhibitor. It is called proton pump inhibitor because it is binding to the proton pump. Basically, it binds with the H plus K plus ATPase transporter, which is the responsible for secretion of the acid. So they are blocking final step. An important thing to remember is it is binding irreversibly. So pump is inactivated permanently and the stomach cell has to synthesize new pump to be effective. And that's why these drugs are very effective. Once the pump is inhibited, it is inhibited for a permanently. It need to get activated inside, but their half-life is only half hour to 2 hour only. But because they are irreversibly inhibiting the pump, the duration of action remains more than 24 hours. So this is important. Many times I ask in the Viva that is it half-life is always important for the dosing frequency? No. Many a time half-life does not correspond to the duration of action, and classical example is hit and run drug. So this omeprazole, pantoprazole, this proton pump inhibitor, these are hit and run drugs. Once you give them, they bind to the target permanently. So even though their blood concentration drops, their action still remain there inside the body till the new pump is not synthesized. So acid secretion can only occur once the new pump has been secretized, and that is why these are the example of hit and run drug. Very important thing to remember. One more important thing to remember that it should be taken on empty stomach and it should be taken 1 hour before the meal. Why? The reason is proton pump inhibitor binds to the active proton pumps only. So maximum number of the proton pumps will be activated during the time of food. As and when food comes into the stomach, maximum proton pump will be activated. So at that time, drug should be there inside the stomach. And from the taking a drug to reach it to the stomach, it takes almost 1 hour. Because drug get absorbed from the stomach, go to the blood, get activated and secreted inside the stomach again to be activated. So all this take 1 hour. So that is why it should be taken before a meal, so that during a meal time when maximum proton pumps are active, the maximum concentration of drug is also there. So maximum proton pump can be inhibited. Uses of proton pump exactly similar to the what we have seen in H2 antagonists, and as I told you, they are the first choice drug for any kind of peptic ulcer, whether it is drug induced peptic ulcer, whether it is peptic ulcer, duodenal ulcer, NSAID ulcer, or whether it is the gastroesophageal reflux disease or Jolison-Ellison syndrome. Zollizer Addison syndrome is nothing but a gastrin secreting tumor. So in all these cases, these proton pump inhibitor are drug of choice. Adverse effect, they are very safe drug and very few adverse effect is found when taken for a shorter period of a time. Nausea and headache common with any drug can occur. Diarrhea can occur because there can occur some indigestion because decreased acidity. A allergic reaction like rashes can occur. And when the drug is discontinued acutely, a compensatory hypergastrinemia can occur if taken for a longer time. And carcinoid tumors were seen in the rats but has not been observed inside the human. Another important adverse effect associated with long-term use is osteoporosis. On a long-term use, it can produce osteoporosis. Remember that. Now, the next group of drug, prostaglandin analog, misoprostol. Now, before understanding this, we need to understand the role of prostaglandin. As we have already seen that it decreases the acid secretion, increases the mucus and bicarbonate secretion. So overall, it helps in reducing peptic ulcer. It is very much important factor in reducing the peptic ulcer. So it is the most specific drug for NSAID-induced peptic ulcer or drug-induced peptic ulcer. Now, if the question is asked that what is the drug of choice for the drug-induced peptic ulcer, then drug of choice is still proton pump inhibitor. But if it is asked that what is most specific drug for drug-induced peptic ulcer, then it is prostaglandin analog misoprostol. But it is not commonly used because it has so many side effects, so patient compliance is not very good. It produces the diarrhea and it is a very common side effect, diarrhea. It is not that in some patient it is seen, it is in majority of the patient diarrhea is seen. And apart from that, there increases the pain due to peptic ulcer. Rather than relieving the symptom, it exaggerates the symptom and it is contraindicated in pregnancy. That is why it is not very commonly used drug, but it is a very specific drug for NSAID-induced peptic ulcer. Then ulcer protective drug sucralfate. What the meaning of ulcer protective means, it below the pH of 4, when there is a acidic environment is there, it cross-links and forms a polymer and it binds with the ulcer base. So basically it coats the ulcer base so that a sticky gel like covering over the ulcer base occurs and acid cannot touch the ulcer. So pain is relieved. Not only pain is relieved, but the healing which is going on is fastened because it is not now disturbed by a acid which is secreted. So it helps in ulcer healing and it has a protective effect on peptic ulcer. Like for the mouth ulcer also you see that some gels are available, or sometimes we apply ghee which protects the ulcer and relieves the pain. So similar thing it sucralfate does in case of peptic ulcer. So in the treatment of peptic ulcer, it has to be taken 1 gram 1 hour before 3 measure meal and 1 gram at the bedtime. So see the quantity 1 gram and see the frequency 3 times before a meal, 1 time before a bedtime, 4 times a day, a 1 gram, and it is not a very tasty solution to be taken. So that is why again patient compliance is not good. Patient compliance is not good and it is kept as one of the drug to be useful for the anti-H. pylori reason. Otherwise it is not commonly used. Collodial bismuth substrate (CBS). It is increases the prostaglandin A2, increases the mucus and increases the HCO3. It also produces coating of peptic ulcer like sucralfate and inhibits the H. pylori. But again it has to be taken in multiple dose and not commonly useful. Antacids. Antacids are over-the-counter available drug You may have seen many advertisement of this like Eno, Gelosil. They are all antacids. They are basically basic in nature, alkaline in nature, and neutralizes the gastric acid and decreases the gastric acidity in the stomach, raises the pH in the stomach. Oral, it is available as a aluminum hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, or calcium carbonate. Now, aluminum hydroxide and magnesium hydroxide, they produces mutually opposite effect on gastric motility. One produces diarrhea, one produces constipation. So together, they form a very good combination which neutralizes each other's side effect and increases the efficacy of each other. So sometimes it is also available in the combination aluminum hydroxide and magnesium hydroxide, but they only provide temporary relief in peptic ulcer or gastroesophageal reflux disease, and they require many frequent dosing, and rebound acid secretion can also occur, and it interferes with the absorption of many drugs which depends on gastric acidity, and that is why they are not advisable commonly used drug. The only good thing about it is they are fastest acting drug. You may have seen in the advertisement the patient is suffering from acidity and takes the glass of Eno or Gelosil, and immediately the acidity is relieved. So they are fastest acting drug, but they are not a therapeutic useful drug. Okay. Now coming to the H. pylori, anti-H. pylori resin. So first of all, we need to see which are the antimicrobial drug, antibiotic drug which are useful. Now currently the chemotherapy has not covered, so you may find this name very strange, but once the chemotherapy is over, you will find all this name very familiar. So clarithromycin, amoxicillin, tetracycline, and metronidazole or similar drug tinidazole, these are the effective antimicrobial drugs which can kill the H. pylori. So anti-H. pylori regimen usually there are triple drug regimen or quadruple drug regimen. In the triple drug regimen, there are 2 antibiotics and 1 proton pump inhibitor is useful, which is usually lansoprazole, amoxicillin, and clarithromycin. So as you see, lansoprazole, a proton pump inhibitor, amoxicillin and clarithromycin, 2 antibiotics, which is taken twice daily for 2 weeks. This is to be taken twice daily for a 2 week, which is usually advised treatment duration. Quadruple therapy, when triple therapy is not very effective or response is less than adequate, we can go for quadruple therapy where metronidazole, tetracycline, omeprazole, and the third, apart from 2 antibiotic and 1 proton pump inhibitor, the colloidal bismuth subcitrate, a muscle protective, is added to enhance the effect of the therapy. So these are the anti-H. pylori regimen. So many times asked in answer in brief or a short note, anti-H. pylori regimen. So you need to remember them. So again, let's revise all of the drug useful in peptic ulcer: anti-H. pylori drug, proton pump inhibitors, H2 antagonists, prostaglandin analog, ulcer protective, and then antacid and colloidal bismuth substrate group of drug. Thank you and have a nice day.